And U.S. stock futures inched higher on Monday, setting the Dow average and Nasdaq Composite on track for all-time highs, even as traders assess the risk from geopolitical tensions and look to key earnings reports this week to set the tone for the markets. While futures for the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.07% to 22,846. Futures for the S&P index rose to 2,553.75. And the futures for the Nasdaq 100 index added 0.04% to 6,107.25. And staying with the markets, but this time in Asia, where most indexes closed higher on Monday, following the stronger lead from Wall Street, as investors digested the release of China inflation data, which shows consumer price index rose 1.6% in September from a year ago, meeting expectations. Japan's Nikkei 225 climbed for a 10th straight day, extending gains once more to touch a fresh 21-year high. The index was up 0.47% to close at 21,255.56. Across the Korean Strait, the Kospi closed up 0.26% at 2,480.05 as steel makers and cosmetics retailers notched gains. And down under, the S&P ASX 200 rose 0.56%, finishing the session at 5,846.8, with the material sub-index rising 1.55% and leading gains on the broader index. The Shanghai Composite reversed gains to edge down 0.35%, closing at 3,378.8, and the Shenzhen Composite fell 1.51% to end at 2,005.94. And Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index soared 0.66%. Away from the stock markets now, pilots of South Africa's Mango, a low-cost airline owned by national carrier South African Airways, have downed tools over a wage dispute. Solidarity, which represents 95% of the pilots at Mango Airline, say the workers are on strike after negotiations collapsed between the union and Mango. The workers are demanding 8.5%, but Mango is offering 6%. Several flights have been disrupted and cancelled due to the strike. The airline spokesperson, Sergio Dos Santos, assures passengers that clear contingency plans are in place. And staying in South Africa, health insurance group Discovery has been granted a banking license to set up a retail bank in the country. In 2016, the company announced plans to spend $158 million to set up a retail bank based on the behavioral model it uses in life and health insurance to reward members for their choices. The granting of the banking license is subject to specific regulatory conditions and still needs approval from South Africa's Competition Commission. And here's more company news coming from South Africa. Green Bay Properties has made an unsolicited offer to acquire the European assets of South African construction firm Group 5 for $120 million. The offer values Group 5's assets at 60% more than the company's market capitalization of around 1 billion rand, suggesting its assets in South Africa, where the economy is barely growing, are not highly rated. The news of the offer sent Group 5's share price higher by 37%. The company has constituted an independent board to consider the terms and conditions as well as the merits of the offer. And in Egypt, agricultural exports rose 13.9% in the third quarter of 2017, reaching 4.1 million tons compared to 3.6 million last year. Egypt's agricultural exporters have seen a surge in demand since the country floated its currency last November, allowing it to roughly halve in value as part of reforms tied to a 3-year $12 billion International Monetary Fund loan agreement. The export growth comes after a turbulent year for Egyptian produce, with a hepatitis A scare in North America linked to Egyptian strawberries and a temporary ban on Egyptian fruits and vegetables in Russia, one of Cairo's major buyers. In the meantime, an Egyptian woman is pushing boundaries in Alexandria as she engages in a profession usually reserved for men. Meet Masha Sabri, one of Africa's few female blacksmiths.
An Egyptian woman has broken into a long-established male profession and become one of Alexandria's few female blacksmiths. For the past 15 years, Maha Sabri has gradually learnt the skills needed for the laborious job. The skills needed for the tedious job, helping her husband in the workshop he worked for. Sabri's family was struck with financial difficulties, which pushed her to defy traditions and societal pressures and take on the work as a blacksmith. Many mocked Sabri for taking on such a role, but despite the pressure, she pushed on.
People first thought I was showing off or doing this for show. People do not know the circumstances surrounding other people's lives. Honestly, Al-Said encouraged me and did not care about what people were saying. He was helping me. People were making fun of me. But I answered them, try doing what I do.
She took breaks from her study to learn the trade with her husband, Fwazi. Sabri taught herself to weld, drill and observe Swazi to learn the secrets of the profession. She used to go to her exams, but also come help in the workshop. She used to finish her work at home and come help in the workshop. She used to stand in the workshop and weld for customers who asked. Sometimes I had out calls, but she filled my place here in the workshop. She helped anyone who needed a weld or to cut anything using the angle grinder. She deals with all customers. The couple create a variety of metal structures and are now becoming increasingly popular for their specially designed metal doors. Sabri is still focused on her education and working towards a degree in hotel and tourism.
My ambitions are to have security for my children and husband, to continue my education, and for my children to receive university degrees. I want to get a good governmental occupation, but still, I will be with Al-Said in the workshop.
After years of working in other workshops, Fwazi and Sabri have now bought their own workshop and are able to provide for their 3 children at a time where Egypt is facing severe economic turmoil.
Nice. Well, still to come on the program, a look at the Resource Governance Index report. Do stay with us.